Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So we are most fortunate to be in Braj. So we have a little problem. So we have to see, because there's a little noise, there's some upstairs, there's some work going on. So maybe some of the devotees can send a message if it is too much disturbance. But so we'll try this. I didn't expect, I didn't know that it is going to happen like this. But although we are in Braj, but even in Braj difficulties are there. Not only now, even Krishna's time, when Krishna was here. Krishna is still here, but Aprakat, when he was here in Prakat Lila, 5,000 years ago, almost every day one demon came. And big demon, not small demon like now. Now there are small demons here, but that time big demons were there. And it was tough also for the Brijvasis to some extent, but because they are surrendered to Krishna, and so they can overcome all difficulties. The Nityasiddha Parikars, they are completely absorbed in the service, but even in this world, it appears to be that sometimes they are in some difficulty. And those who have come to join the pastimes, for them it is maybe a little difficult, but by the mercy of the Lord they can also overcome. So we are in Braj, physically, and those who are in America or Europe, so externally they are somewhere else, but they are all connected to Braj, because that is our home, Braj. So thinking about Braj, about Vrindavan, is almost as good as being in Vrindavan. And sometimes even in being in Vrindavan or Braj, sometimes even the consciousness is not so good, then one is not really in Braj. But if one is in America somewhere or in Europe, and one is thinking about Braj in a positive way, always engaged in devotional service, then one is actually in Braj. So yes, but difficulties are there. And the main difficulty in spiritual life is not from outside. It's not because of the noise. There's some difficulty, but that's not the main difficulty. And sometimes it's too cold, or it's too hot, and sometimes somebody is bothering us, pinching us, sometimes physically pushing, sometimes just like with words or something, pinching, and then we think that this person is disturbing me, he's causing problem. But these are all external difficulties. They are known as Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmik Klesh, from one's own body and mind, from other living entities, from natural disturbances caused by the demigods, because people are sinful. If people are very sinful, more difficulties are there. If they are less, then less difficulties. But still the main problem is coming from our own, ultimately mind. Even the body may be there, some difficulty from the body. Sickness is there, and one has a cold and a coughing, then it's a little difficult to chant. But still, then if one is pushing, and coughing and sneezing, it's going on, if one is strong. If one is weak, then he will just lie down, oh, I'm sick and I cannot do anything. But if one is strong, then he will just push on. I came here in 1980, and I was a difficult situation for my body. I came in the summer, it was very hot, and then the food was different, spicy food, so it caused some difficulty, but I was pushing on. I got malaria, and I was at that time in Jaipur doing some book distribution, life membership. So the devotees, they had to also go preaching, and then they said, well, okay, we'll just put you in the hospital. And so I was there in the hospital, and then, had the determination already to get up early. And then, even though I had maybe fever also, but I was still getting up early morning, and feeling a little sleepy due to sickness. Then I was just going out at 3:30 in the morning and chanting my japa, walking up and down, although I had malaria. And so somehow I was there a few days. So the point is, one must have strong determination, resolute determination, and tolerate the difficulties coming from the own body, and especially in the mind. So the body is one thing, but if the consciousness is strong and the mind is surrendered to Krishna, then we can overcome the physical difficulties. Of course, sometimes it is also not possible. And then old age may be there, difficult to walk, to run. One cannot run in old age. Even one may have the strong determination. But now, even myself, crossed 60, going to the temple, yeah, it's okay, but 10 years ago I could almost run to the temple, but now it is just not possible. And doing parikrama Vrindavan or Govardhan is like climbing Mount Everest. So then the limitations may be there. But then one has to adjust. Actually, one has to constantly adjust one's situation according to time, place, and circumstances with a strong consciousness, the mind so fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. And then one may overcome the difficulties, especially from the body and mind. And actually, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the mind, if the mind is controlled, the super soul is reached. And then the mind is the best friend. Of course, super soul, we are for pranam to Paramatma, but we want to reach Krishna, Brajendra, Nandan, Shyama Sundar, and not just the super soul, Paramatma. But the idea is there. If the mind is controlled, then you are connected to Guru Gauranga and Krishna, to Mahaprabhu and Krishna, more than the super soul. If the mind is not controlled, and then the mind actually is the greatest enemy. And there's no greater enemy than the uncontrolled mind. And and if the mind is controlled, then you're really a hero. So there are many heroes in the material world, but if the mind is not controlled, then they are zero. Even though externally they may be hero, Bollywood, Hollywood hero, cricket star, football star, everyone, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. No, Hari Bol, sorry. Maybe Jai Jai in India. But just glorifying that person. And so, but the real hero is one who has controlled his mind and senses, who is absorbed in serving Krishna with body, mind and words. But so, if one is able to control the mind, so that means one is almost liberated. Yes. But for the sadhakas, for the devotees who are practicing, who have come to Krishna consciousness just now, or even those who have been in Krishna consciousness since 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, sometimes 40 years. But if Purva Samskar is not there, the good previous impressions, then still some struggle is there. Especially with the mind, because of the mind. Therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami, so he has given a small book known as Manah Siksha. A Siksha to the mind, instructions to the mind, which are important for the devotees and of course, these verses, and they're very deep, and so we should try to hear them in the association of the devotees, preferably those who are more advanced, and it is more easily understood, there's more benefit usually. So we would like to go through these verses. And so in the auspicious month of Kartik, today is the first day of Kartik here in Vrindavan Dham. And so we will see how it goes. But most probably it will take one class for one verse. If we go more deep, maybe it will take more than one class, maybe two. Just like when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one time in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, was giving some discourses on the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. On the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, famous verse. And so he started and he spoke on the first verse every morning for 2 months. For 2 months he was speaking. So, but yeah, we will not spend 2 months on this first verse, no problem, but maybe one class or maybe two. So we're starting with the first verse today. Guru Goste Gostalishu Sujan Busurgan Samantra Sri Namni Brajanavayu Vadvandve Sharane Sadadambam Hitva Kururatim Apurum Atitaram Aye Svantar Bratash Chaturbir Abhiyache Drita Padai Pada. That is the first verse. And I will read the translation and then we can go word for word. Translation. Oh my dear brother, my mind, taking hold of your feet, I humbly pray to you with sweet words. Please give up all pride and quickly develop deep loving attachment for the spiritual master. Sri Braj Dham, the residents of Braj, the Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas, your Diksha mantras, the holy names of the Supreme Lord and the shelter of Sri Radha Krishna, the eternally youthful divine couple of Braj. So wonderful verse, which we can memorize. You still remember? Okay. What?
I was going to.
You were going to say. Okay, you can say. Okay, very good. Yeah. Good students. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So, Guru, and that refers to the spiritual master. So we have to take shelter of the spiritual master first of all. Just like it is mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 limbs of devotional service. And the first is Guru Pad Ashray, taking shelter of the spiritual master, and then one may take initiation. But the main thing is that one has to take instructions from the spiritual master. One is getting transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master. Siksha is more important even than Diksha. But Diksha has to be there. So, but that is a formal process is there of Diksha. And but the main is actually the instructions, the Siksha, the knowledge which one receives from the spiritual master. But as a formality, one will then also take initiation and one will get a spiritual name and one will receive the Japamala and then one is in front of the spiritual master making the vow, sankalpa that they will chant every day at least 16 rounds. So as Prabhupada also did when he was giving initiation. So, and then, yeah, sometimes it is said in this way, then the connection is established with Krishna. Actually, the connection with Krishna is eternal. The connection, the relationship with Krishna is eternal. But the spiritual master is in this sense connecting, because the conditioned soul has been, the Bada Jiva has been wandering in the cycle of birth and death since time immemorial. But then by the mercy of, ultimately the Supreme Lord, then one comes in contact with the spiritual master. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadebhai Bhakti Lata Bij. Brahmanda Brahmite. So Brahmanda means in the universe, the Jiva was wandering Brahmite from maybe in this planet, then going to the higher planets, going to the lower planets, coming here again. Kona Bhagavana Jeev, Bhagyavan. So the Jiva who is fortunate, so he comes in contact, Guru, with the spiritual master. And then coming in contact with the spiritual master, then Bhakti Lata Bij, he will get the seed of devotional service. It is not that the spiritual master had the seeds in the pocket, he's taking out, okay, here, Bhakti Lata Bij is there, the Bij. But it is by, of course, by speaking, so the spiritual master will give the correct understanding for the Bada Jiv, so that he may progress in spiritual life. So in this sense, he's giving the seed of devotional service by giving the conception, the right conception. But by nature, the living entity, the Jiva, already has the love for Krishna. Krishna Prem is there, but it's in dormant state. But then by the association of the advanced devotee, Diksha Siksha Guru, then the consciousness, the proper consciousness is aroused. And then one can advance, slowly but surely. It is not that immediately coming in contact with the spiritual master, one can immediately become a pure devotee. It will take time. But then being constantly in the association of the spiritual master, concept, but in the beginning, the disciple cannot understand. But as he becomes purified, then he can understand more and more things. So by the mercy of, the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna, so by mercy of Krishna, one comes to the Guru, or the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and then by the mercy of the spiritual master, who is the representative of Mahaprabhu and Krishna, who is the manifestation of the mercy. Krishna Kripa Sri Murti is the manifestation of the mercy of Krishna, or of Mahaprabhu, or of Srimati Radharani. And then with his help, the Jiva, the Bada Jiva, can slowly but surely he can advance in spiritual life. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the spiritual master is the manifestation, the Diksha Guru is the manifestation of Krishna's Roop, Krishna's form. And the Siksha Guru is the manifestation of Krishna's Swarup, Krishna's mood, Krishna's consciousness. So Krishna's, there's no difference ultimately between Krishna's inside and outside. He's completely transcendental. At the same time, even for example, you go to the temple, you can see the deities. You can see Radha, Shyama Sundar, Krishna, Balaram. You can see. But you cannot know, unless you advance devotee, what Krishna is thinking now. He's there on the altar with Radharani, not just motionless, and but no, he's actually there and ultimately also performing his pastimes and his thinking. So ultimately there's no difference then also between the Diksha and Siksha Guru, but here also, so the Diksha Guru to some extent is giving the connection, is helping the jiva, the Bada Jiva, to understand his connection with Krishna. In this way he's connecting the jiva to Krishna, because in the conditioned state he doesn't know how to proceed. But then with the help of the spiritual master, then the spiritual master is seeing that boy is sincere or that girl is sincere. Then he will help. And in this way then the connection is there. And so in this way then the spiritual master is helping and is giving a name, at least for this lifetime. But that may change also. If one is not perfect, one has to take birth again, and then maybe another name. So that name is not permanent usually, which one will receive at the time of initiation. Unless it is a pure devotee of the Lord, just like Rupa Goswami, he came and then of course he has another name also in the beginning, and then he was associated with the Muslims, he got the name Dabir Khas, and Sakar Malik were there, Rupa and Sanatan. But then Mahaprabhu called them Rupa and Sanatan, and he told them, you are my eternal servants. So whenever they're in this world, when Mahaprabhu is here, so their names are always Rupa and Sanatan, life after life, wherever they go. But as Bada Jiva, conditioned soul, the name may change, mostly this changing. Except for the pure devotees, the eternal associates. So they may be the same, like Narottam was here a few hundred years ago, and he's again in another universe, also Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. Always Narottam. So Narottam Das Thakur. That is not changing, but for others it is changing. Yes, and so the Diksha Guru is there, Siksha Guru. So you may see Krishna what he thinks that is difficult, that only then the spiritual master can say what Krishna is thinking. So but usually one has one Diksha Guru, and usually is the Siksha Guru also the Diksha Guru. But sometimes if he's not present, or he has left this world already, or he's gone preaching, then one may take also Siksha from some other devotees, but he should have the same mood as the Diksha Guru. So here, Aye Brata, Raghunath Das Goswami, for our benefit, he's speaking this verse, he's addressing his mind. And Svantar, Svaanta, that refers to the mind, Svanta. Antakaran, so inside the body, so the jiva is there, but then the ego is there also, and then intelligence of course, but here mainly the mind is addressed, and so instructing the mind, and saying, my dear brother. So, because the jiva is there, and then the mind is there, and you can see practically speaking also in this conditioned state. So we're in this body, we're situated in the body, and kutumba is like so of course we're in Krishna's family, and then so the body is there, and so inside the body, so the soul is there, and the mind. So he's addressing the mind as my dear brother, because they're very close, like in the family, kudumba in the family. Parents are there and the children are there. So maybe two boys or one, whatever, boy and girl. So brother and sister, two brothers are there. So they're close, the relationship is there. In the family they're there, staying in the same house. So the jiva is there, and then the mind is there in the same body. And so in a conditioned state, the mind is then not always wanting to do what should be done. Therefore we have to train the mind, and with the help of the spiritual master, with the help of the scriptures, with knowledge. Shashta Chakshus, Jnana Chakshus. With the eye of knowledge, or through the eyes of the scriptures, or with the help of the spiritual master, one should try to understand the absolute truth, the process how to reach the absolute truth. So Raghunath Das here addressing the mind, and so actually for our benefit, and therefore we should actually, and this, of course Prabhupada mentioned we should read Bhagavad Gita and then Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Devotion. So we have to read the books which Prabhupada presented first, but then afterwards, when we have read these books, then we can also read some other books under the guidance of the advanced devotees. Because these books, and even Prabhupada mentions in few places, in one place saying that anyone who wants to know about Bhakti and Bhagavan must read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which is by Sanatana Goswami, a very wonderful book. And then he mentions also in the song Gauranga Bulite Habe, so there by Narottam Das Thakur, Rupa Raganata Pade Hoibe Akuti, Kabe Hama Bujabos Yugala Piriti. By studying, so he's explained, by studying the books of the Goswamis, here Rupa and Raghunath, then we can understand the Bujavo, the Yugala Piriti, the loving exchange between Radha and Krishna, by reading these books. So these books by the Goswamis are actually for our benefit. But first we read the books presented by Prabhupada, and then we may also read other books in the Association of the Advanced Devotees over here, and that will give us also some additional help. Ultimately everything is there in Prabhupada's books, that is true. At the same time, so Prabhupada is himself saying that we may study. And he's saying, anyone who wants to know about Bhakti, Bhakta and Bhagavan must read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Did you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita? You read? You? You read the whole? Something. Yeah, so we must read. What it means? It must read means we must read, right? So, but first we read Prabhupada's book, and afterwards we must read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So therefore we have to quickly read the whole Bhagavatam. Where are you in the Bhagavatam?
Third canto.
Third canto. You read the first and second?
29th, yes.
You read the first and second? Now third canto. You?
Second.
You? Third, okay. You?
I have read many times, but still.
You read the whole
Yeah.
Bhagavatam? Okay, good. But still reading, right? I also read 5 times. Yeah, 5 or 6 times, I can't even remember.
So now I'm trying to memorize the slokas.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I have
Yes.
that Mool Bhagavatam. So
Yeah, yeah, good. Yes, so therefore we are now also reading this book, because this book is actually very important, Manah Siksha. Because the mind has to be controlled, as Rupa Goswami also says in the Nectar of Instruction in the first verse, that Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam nuta parasto vegam. So we have to control the different vegas, forces, and the mind. And so it is mentioned again and again, we have to try to control the mind. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, so he was saying also that in the morning, because the mind is going here and there, so we have to try to control, and some force has to be there. He was saying in the morning you take a shoe, a chappal, figuratively. Of course you don't take the chappal and you beat your head, but figuratively you have to take a shoe and you beat your mind 100 times. Be quiet, don't tell all this nonsense. And then maybe he'll be a little okay, and during the day you're okay, but the night time again, a good beating has to be there. You take a danda, you take a stick and beat again 100 times. So that is one way, but usually that alone will not work. Just like when you have a child, the parents, they have children, so if the parents are always saying, no, don't do this, and having a stick also, Of course, now we have to be careful because there's the child protection team is there, CPT, CP office, child protection office, and if they're hearing that the parents are even beating, even in the material world now, if somebody is beating the child, sometimes they have a right to go to complain to the police or to the CPT team. Or my parents, they beat me, or in the school, the children, the parents, they cannot use any, no stick or no hand to give a slap or something. But previously, of course, the teacher must be qualified, and of course the parents must be qualified to take care of the children. But sometimes a little slap may be given, but then one has to be careful and not to give too hard slaps so that they may be hurt too much and have some damage. But a little bit something, maybe sometimes here or a little bit on the back or on the, when they are small on the popo, so there's no harm. And then sometimes, yeah, but one has to be careful because the body of the child is fragile. So therefore one has to be controlled as a teacher or a parent and be very careful. And only sometimes a little force may be there according to even how it was done previously, but very carefully. But now, because there has been some misuse of the power of the teacher, and therefore the child protection team is there, and they say should be nothing like that with the hand or with the stick. So we have to try to follow those who are in the Gurukul or teachers. And so, but the point is that, and then even saying, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. That has to be there also. But what is more important has to be some positive encouragement. That you should do this, you should do that. And so it is an art also. And also, of course, if one is advanced, then automatically then Krishna will inspire the parent or the teacher to say the right thing and to do the right thing in teaching or in educating the children. So here, in regards to the mind, so the mind also has to be controlled, so with some kind of force, but then also by good instructions. Therefore he gave these good instructions, because always trying to beat and tell the mind, no, 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 no sweet rice now, no rasgulla, don't do this, don't do that. Then the mind sometimes can become rebellious. So therefore some positive instructions are good, which Rupa Goswami is doing. Raghunath Das Goswami is addressing him as the brother, because in the body, so the soul is there and then the mind. So addressing him as brother. Also, of course, the false ego is there, which ultimately is the main cause if one is identifying with the body. If one is identifying with the soul, I'm spirit soul, then everything is fine. But still then the mind may be there, therefore the instructions are there to the mind. Even though I know I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, so I'm trying to be situated in that position, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, but in conditioned state, the mind is still there. That's okay, you're the eternal servant of Krishna, but look at this here, this is interesting, let's just think about that. Right? You can say so many things, right? Yeah, mind is going here and there, and oh, look, this beautiful sari there, and the bangles, I would like to have this. And then even though one knows I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, but then the tendency is there, one wants this and that, and so, but then one has to control and one has to instruct the mind. So, my dear brother, so therefore addressing as brother because they are close. Chatubi abhiyache, I'm praying to you. I'm praying to the mind, my dear mind. So, not just beating and your rascal mind, but I'm praying to you. Chatubi with sweet words. So, my dear mind, Drita Padai, you please take shelter of the lotus, the feet of the Lord ultimately. But here specifically, so he's saying Guru. So you take shelter of the spiritual master. Because without taking shelter of the spiritual master, it is not possible to take shelter of Krishna. It is impossible. Even it is mentioned in scriptures, before Krishna Puja is Guru Puja. Of course, then Mahaprabhu also should be there. First Guru Puja, then Gauranga Puja, and then Krishna Puja. When we speak, first we pray to the spiritual master, and then to the Lord. Similarly, even in meditation or while chanting the holy names, first you have to take shelter of Guru, the spiritual master, and then Gauranga, and then it is possible to take shelter of Krishna. So he's addressing the mind. You please take shelter of, first of all, the spiritual master. And then he's also saying, which is important, Sada Damba Hitva. Damba means pride. You give up all pride. Don't think you're such a special devotee. So one has to give up pride. One should be humble. Understand that we are completely helpless actually, ultimately. We are insignificant. We need the help of the spiritual master, we need the help of the Vaishnavas, we need the help of the Lord. Alone we cannot do anything. So therefore he's saying here, Sada Damba Hitva. So naturally the devotee is humble, the true devotee, and he will, maybe in the association of the devotees, take shelter of the spiritual master. But if one is proud, and then he will think, no, I have my Guru Maharaj and I don't have to care for anybody else. But that is not the way. And my Guru is the best. Of course, we have to think like this. The disciple is thinking my Guru is the best, but one has to respect all the other senior devotees, the God brothers of the spiritual master, other elderly Vaishnavas, all of them have to be respected. Fellow, even so if one has then the spiritual master, then the God brothers are there, one has to respect the God brothers also. Not only the God brothers of the spiritual master, but one's own God brothers and God sisters, they have to be respected. All the Vaishnavas have to be respected. Not thinking, oh yes, I'm in this sampradaya, in this society, that is the best. It may be the best, but what is our position? We should analyze this in the conditioned state. And the true devotee will never think I'm special. He will see how insignificant he is. And therefore he will respect all the other Vaishnavas, not think that he's better. So give up all pride. That is important. One should be always humble, as Mahaprabhu told, Trinarapi Sunichina, Tororapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Amanina, Kirtani Sarahari. Then one can chant holy names in the proper mood, and then one can advance. Kuru Ratim Apurvam Atitaram. So then with Rati, with affection, we should take shelter of the spiritual master. So Ratim, so Apurvam Atitaram. So means Apurva means unprecedented, Atitaram exceedingly. So we should try to develop this attachment for the Supreme Lord. So we have to constantly endeavor to be detached from material things and to become attached to Krishna more and more. If one is taking proper shelter, then naturally, slowly but surely, one will become more and more attached to Guru Gauranga Krishna. But as Rupa Goswami also says, it will take time. Utsa Nishchay Daryat. So therefore we have to be always enthusiastic, fixed, constantly engaged in devotional activities, in the association of the advanced devotees, but then one has to be patient. It will take some time. So Guru, taking shelter of the spiritual master. Goshte. So Goshta, that means Braj Dham. Goshta, that means to the pasturing grounds in Braj. Our Krishna is performing his wonderful pastimes. We have to take shelter of the holy Dham. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada used to say, without Dham Seva, no Nam Seva. If you're not conscious of the holy Dham, then we cannot remember Krishna, we cannot chant the holy names. While chanting, even we may chant, but if you don't remember Braj Dham, then you cannot remember Krishna, because Krishna is in Braj. So we must have this attachment, this affection, this love for Guru, and then the holy Dham. So that refers then for us Navadip Dham and Braj Dham. So we should have this affection, love. Of course, in the beginning it may not be there, manifested, but then at least we have to remember Gaur Dham and Krishna Dham. And so therefore also we do Jaikar of the holy Dham, or even sometimes, yes, we can just, even in the mind, Jai Navadip Dham, Jai Braj Dham. So, in thinking, so we have to take shelter of the holy Dham, Gaur Dham and Krishna Dham. And then after that goes Tal Yeshu. So that means those who are staying in Braj, that means the Brijvasis, in Braj or in Navadip Vasis. So, and especially that refers to the eternal associates. In Navadvip, Sarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda Roy, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath, of course Panchatattva is there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not alone, then Nityananda Prabhu is there, Advaitacharya, Gadadhar Pandit and Shivas Pandit. So we have to remember them. We have to pray to them. And then in Braj, of course, Krishna is never alone. So as Rupa Goswami says, Krishna smanam janam chashtam nija prishnam samhitam tatakata rachascha saukuryad vazam vrajasada. Again, we should always live in Braj and then remember Krishna and Krishna's dear associates. And then we should always be absorbed in Katha, in the pastimes of Krishna with his eternal associates. So Guru Goshte Goshtalishu. But not only, and then of course is explaining in the second line, Braja Nava Yuva Dvandve Sharane. And Nava Yuva Dvandve means Braj, and Nava means ever fresh. And Yuva means in the Yova Vasta, and the youth, fresh youth, Nava Yuva. Dvandva, that means the two, means Radha Krishna Jugal. Sharane, take shelter. So we should take shelter, so in Braj, of the divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna. And so then we take shelter of Guru and the holy place, and then the divine couple, of course Mahaprabhu, and then the divine couple, Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila. But then the Sadakas, so is explaining here also Sujane Busurgan. We have to also respect others. Sujane, Sajan, so that means those who are properly situated on the path of spiritual life. So that means the general Vaishnavas. Not only our God brothers and God sisters, our spiritual master, but then all the Vaishnavas in our society, in our sampradaya, but then also even the Vaishnavas in the other sampradayas. They all have to be respected. Any Vaishnava has to be respected. Vaishnava is one who is worshipping the Supreme Lord. It may not only be Krishna, but Ram, Vishnu, Narayan. So they all have to be respected. Anyone who is worshipping Krishna or his incarnations, they have to be all respected, regardless of what is their situation in this world. So we have to go beyond these bodily designations and of the institution, of even the sampradaya, of the, for example, even of the body, or he's a Indian Vaishnava, he's a Western Vaishnava, or he's Oriya or Goriya. So that may be there, but we have to go to the transcendental plane, that everyone is actually eternal servant of Krishna. So, and that is a Vaishnava who is seeing, he's seeing beyond just the body, but he's seeing the soul, the Supreme Lord and the soul. That is a Vaishnava, is beyond this bodily platform. And then so all Vaishnavas have to be respected, but not only that, Bhusur Gan. Gan means the other personalities. Bhusur, Bhu means Bhumandal, Surgan, so means Surgan means the divine personalities, Asur and Sur, or even the demigods, so they are known as Surgan. Bhusur, so the gods of Bhumandal, of the earthly realm, these are the Brahmanas. They are known as Bhusurgan. We have to respect them. And although they may not even be pure Vaishnavas, they may have some misconceptions, but because they are engaged in studying the scriptures, a Brahmana is trying to be absorbed in the absolute truth, Brahman. So therefore they have to be respected. But if they are not in our own mood, then we keep some distance also, but we have to respect them. And even as we know, ultimately we have to respect all the jivas, even the jiva and the ant body. And then, so then two more words are there in this verse, otherwise we have briefly explained all the words. Sva mantra Sri Namni. Sri Namni means to the holy names of the Lord. The Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So he's telling the mind, Raghunath Das Goswami, or he's telling us to tell the mind that you please take shelter of Sri Namni, take shelter of the Mahamantra. And then, but still, Sadadam Bahitva, giving up all pride. And also then, still taking shelter of Guru also. And Guranga, while chanting Harinam. Should not be just mindless, or nothing should be there. We're not trying to merge in the Brahmajyoti, in the nothing. So while chanting, so something should be there, bhav should be there. Otherwise, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur one time he was saying, otherwise if no bhav is there, it is just like when we have the bullet. Somebody has a gun. Of course we don't using gun, but still even Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave the example. So you have a bullet, two kinds of bullets. One is an air gun and one is a real gun. Air bullet are there, there's some air inside the bullet. If you shoot that, it may hurt somebody, but nothing is happening because there's only air inside. Use that for the monkeys because we don't want to kill them. Sometimes they have even, we had some also in the temple, the guards. But if something is inside there, some powder in the bullet, which is then having some effect. And then if somebody is shooting with that, of course the police, they have the bullets and they are allowed to do that to sometimes to defend themselves or to try to check aggressors. So then they have sometimes to use that, and that will have some effect. A bullet, a real bullet is there. So he was giving the example, if you're chanting but there's no bhav there, It's like an air bullet. From the air gun, the bullet, the air is there, so nothing will happen. But if the powder is in there, if the bhav is in there, then it will have some effect. And it will, it will pierce the heart and on one can of the material consciousness, and one may then attain Krishna. So bhav has to be there. Braj bhav has to be there ultimately. Of course, maybe Gordham bhav also. But ultimately then even Mahaprabhu, so he was absorbed in Braj bhav. So the bhav has to be there. So while chanting also we take shelter of Guru first and Gauranga, and of course the holy Dham, Guru Goshte. Take shelter of Guru, then the holy Dham, and then Mahaprabhu and Krishna, even while chanting, but concentrating of course on the chanting and the hearing the syllables. But then the bhav has to be there, and crying out for help to Guru Gauranga and Krishna. So we can chant attentively, so we can have some bhav, some sentiments, some loving sentiments there while chanting. So we have to pray. So some endeavor has to be there. And then praying for Shuddhanam and giving up all offenses while chanting, and other times also. So offenseless chanting should be there. And the Namabhas will be there. The clearing stage, then the impurities will go, the anatas will go, and then one will be able to be fixed, and the transcendental taste will be there, ruchi for chanting, for serving. Then quickly one comes to the platform of asakti, a transcendental attachment, then one becomes completely detached from material objects. And then the last is Swamantre. Swamantra means to the Gayatri mantras. So in order to make more advancement, so after having chanted the holy names, one may receive the Gayatri mantras. That is an additional help. But always most important is the Mahamantra. But the Diksha mantras, the Gayatri mantras are additional help, so that the mind can be more fixed, the consciousness is fixed on the form of the Lord. And then one will be able to chant better the holy names. So Diksha mantra is important also. Then one can worship the deities also nicely, which is very, very important to worship the deities. Then it will be easier while worshipping the deities, then the relationship is there. Then while chanting it will be easier to remember the Lord, to understand that Krishna Nama no different. And the Seva Bhav is always there when you're worshipping the deities, that it will help. Amani Namana Krishna Nama Sadalabe Braja Radha Krishna Seva Mane Se Karibe. So Amani Namana Dahana. So one should be always very humble, not expect any honor, but give all honor to others. And then always taking Krishna Nama Sadalabe. Braja Radha Krishna Seva Mane Se Karibe. And then in Braj, Radha Krishna Seva, one should be engaged in serving Radha Krishna with the mind. So worshipping the deities is very important, very helpful. And then for that, then also the Gayatri mantras are there. So there's a Gayatri. For each deity there's a Gayatri. For Mahaprabhu, for Krishna, for Radharani, for Nishingadev, for Ramchandra Bhagavan, for Vishnu, Narayan, Lakshmi. So of course in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya we have Gayatri for Mahaprabhu and then Krishna. Of course even for the spiritual master also. Because in the beginning one has to surrender to the spiritual master, and then the Gayatri is there for the spiritual master, and then one can be, then we'll be able to remember the spiritual master. Then while chanting, while serving, especially then it is ultimately then helpful for the chanting, so one can chant better and better. So one may chant Sudanam. So very beautiful verse, and so the devotees, they should learn. It's a good verse to learn. You know that verse? You? This verse here? You don't know? You know? Okay. Anyway, in the future, how many verses you know from Bhagavad Gita? 4. Okay. Yes. Yeah, at least you must know 20. So, you? Bhagavad Gita, how many shlokas?
7 to 12.
7 to 12, okay. At least 20 you must know. That is the minimum.
No, chapter 7 to 12.
Okay.
I'm trying to memorize these slokas from chapter 11 because they're difficult.
Okay, good. Yeah, I used to also chant 5 chapters. 5, 7, 9, 12, 15 by heart. But anyway, you don't have to do so much, but at least, beginning 20. If you're brahmachari in the temple, you have time, you at least 50 you should know. If you're a little better than memory, you should know 100.
Like if one can remember the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
it strengthens one's.
Yeah, if you know, it is helpful to learn the verses of Bhagavad Gita. If you can learn all the verses, nice, good. Yeah, it is because the brain is there. The brain has to be used, like the body you have to use. So the brain.
It's a foundation.
Yeah, and it is good for the brain by memorizing the verses, and it's good for the mind also to be engaged. That is positive engagement for the mind, instead of wandering here and there. It's good for the mind, good for the brain, because actually it is even scientifically proven that the people are not using actually the brain enough. That we know.
We may also try to correlate the verses with what we see around.
Yeah, of course. Even Prabhupada in one place is saying, while chanting, you can remember the verse of Bhagavad Gita. That is there, that you can do, that will help. Oh yes, have to control the senses. So you chant Hare Krishna, the mind is going here and there, and then you can recite the verse of Bhagavad Gita. And you have to control the mind, right? So
there is one verse in chapter 13. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu
Yes.
pashyantam samastha ishvaram na hinasti atman atmanam tato yati param gatam.
yes.
So if you recollect this verse time and again, so you see Lord everywhere.
Right. Yes. So it is very helpful. Similarly,
In 11.2
Sanatan.
there is also one verse.
Yeah.
Ayam hi sarva kalpanam sadvichan vatamama madbhav sarvbhuteshu mano vakaya vritti.
Yeah, so many verses are there, and so that is very helpful. Even Sanatana Goswami has given some verses which are important. Rasayan verses. Just like if one is sick, first of all the doctor will give some medicine to try to, let's say one has diarrhea, then one will take Diurex. Maybe the liver was not good, one is taking Liv 52. So that will help to stop the diarrhea, and then something for the liver, someone will be a little stable with the stomach, but then if one has diarrhea for many days, then the body gets weak. And then okay, they stopped first, but then after they will give some Rasayan medicine, some medicine to give again the strength to rejuvenate the body. So similarly, so he has given some verses, Rasayan verses, because we are in the disease condition. So first of all, now we have to give up all nonsense and the conditioned state, and then we take Krishna Prasad, the best diet, and then you need something to rejuvenate not only the body, but ultimately the consciousness, which is even more important. So for this he has given many verses from the scriptures, from Bhagavatam, which are then great help. So by chanting these verses, then if we know the meaning, which we should know, then that will help us to have the proper consciousness. Like many verses are there, famous for remembering Krishna and his wonderful qualities and pastimes. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale vaksastale kostabam nasagre varamoktitam karatale venu kankanam sarvangari chandanam solitam kante chamuktavali gopasti pariveshtito vijayate gopala churamani You know by heart? Good. You? Almost. You? Almost. You? 0. Okay. Okay. So you have to learn, then you become hero. Okay? You control mind and senses, you learn some shlokas, then you become a hero. But always you have to remain humble, even if you are a hero. A real hero is humble. So, one is control mind and senses. So you have to learn some verses, and that is Swadhyay, right? Pujari, he knows how to do puja already. He's not initiated, but he knows how to do puja, he knows yagyas, many things. But now he has to learn a little bit more Swadhyay, learn some shlokas that will be helpful, and some Rasayan verses you should learn. For Gonitai, some verses you know? Verses for Gonitai, glorify Gonitai. You're worshipping Gonitai. Say some verse.
Starting.
Yeah, say some verse.
Shriman Mukti Kadam Pada Chikun Jisman Chandanam Shri Khanda Guruchar Chitravasanam Shakti Vibhushan Chitra.
Yes.
Nitya Veshirasana Mudanaram Kanda Pravishwajvalam.
Yes.
Chaitanyam Kanakyotam Janasam.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. You know the meaning also?
No.
Okay. Okay, then it's not so good. It's half good. Okay, it's good you know the Sanskrit, but you have to know the meaning. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale. On Krishna's forehead is beautiful kasturi tilak. Vaksastale kaustubam. On here on the chest, vaksastale kaustubam. Kaustubam is there. Nasa agre varamoktidam. In front of the nose. Nasa agre moktidam. So that is a pearl moktidam. Okay, then Kasturi tilakam nasa agre moktidam. Karatale venu kankanam. Karatale. Kara, tale. This is kara is the hand, tale, the palm of them. Venu, the flute is there. Murlidhar, Vamsidhar, Venudhar. Kankanam so means the bangles. Sarvanga Hari Chandanam, he is anointed with chandan. The gopis are putting, or Maria Yashoda in the summer. And then Sarvanga Hari Chandanam, Saritam Cha Muktavali. And then a beautiful pearl necklace is there. Parivestito. And then it is surrounded by the gopis. So all glories to the best, to the foremost of the gopas. So it's good if you know the meaning. And then, so while chanting even, so some verses can be chanted like this. So you chant and you hear, you chant the Mahamantra, you hear, and the mind is there. Instead of listening to all nonsense he wants to say, you tell him, you be quiet, and you try to think of something positive. You tell the mind to learn some verses. Then you can tell the mind, okay, now we recite this verse. And then the mind can recite the verse, and then you can remember Krishna, and the mind can remember Krishna, and then you're okay. So this is Manah Siksha, the first verse, good verse, so we'll stop here. Any question or? No, okay. Hare Krishna. Time is up.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Natana Pano